Hello students, welcome back. This is the video of class 10th biology, and as you know we are studying chapter 1, which is life processes. So in chapter 1 there are 4 life processes given, that is nutrition, respiration, transportation and excretion, which are very necessary for the maintenance of life by the any organism. So in the earlier video we have studied about the nutrition, and in this video our topic is respiration. So we will study about the respiration and what is this and how this takes place in the animal body. So first of all we will see what is respiration. So the respiration is the life process by which a living being utilizes the food to get energy. So as you know, all the living organisms need energy for the survival. So and that energy is taken from the food. So whatever the food that are taken by the animals, that food is broken down by the process of respiration to produce energy. So respiration is a basic energy giving process that takes place in the cells of the uh, organisms, and it is an oxidation reaction in which the carbohydrate is oxidized to produce energy. In this process the carbohydrate, that is glucose, is broken down with the help of oxygen to produce energy, and this reaction takes place in the mitochondria, in the mitochondria of the cell. And the energy which is formed after the process of respiration, that is produced in the form of ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. The energy produced by the process of respiration is in the form of ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate, and this ATP is stored in mitochondria and is released as per the need. Now we'll see the steps of respiration. So as you know, in respiration the glucose is broken down to produce energy. So first of all the glucose is broken down into the new substance that is called pyruvate, and this reaction takes place in the cytoplasm of the cell. In the respiration, first of all the glucose is broken down in the pyruvate, and that reaction takes place in the cytoplasm, and one molecule of glucose is broken down into pyruvic acid or pyruvate, into 2 pyruvic acid or pyruvate. Pyruvic acid is also known as pyruvate, and when the one glucose molecule is broken, 2 pyruvic acid are produced, and this process of breaking down of glucose into pyruvic acid is called glycolysis. So here the glucose molecule is the 6th carbon atom. As you know, the glucose is C6H12O6. So the glucose is the 6th carbon molecule, and pyruvic acid is the 3 carbon molecule. Okay, so this glucose, one molecule of glucose convert into 2 pyruvic acid that has 3 carbon molecule, 3 carbon in it. Now fate of pyruvic acid. What happens after the glycolysis? What happens with the pyruvic acid? So further breaking down of pyruvic acid takes place in the mitochondria, and the molecules formed depend on the type of respiration in a particular organism. So after the formation of pyruvic acid, the pyruvic acid goes into the mitochondria, and the next process depend on the presence of oxygen, presence and absence of the oxygen. If the oxygen is present, then that respiration is called as aerobic respiration. When the oxygen is present and the pyruvic acid is broken down with the help of oxygen, then that respiration is called aerobic respiration. And when the oxygen is absent, when there is no oxygen and the pyruvic acid is broken down to get energy, that is called anaerobic respiration. So respiration involves two things, which is intake of oxygen from the atmosphere and release of carbon dioxide, that is called breathing. As you know, the pyruvic acid is broken down in the presence of oxygen that we take from the atmosphere. So if the oxygen is present, so the aerobic respiration takes place, and in the aerobic respiration, the first step of respiration involve gaseous exchange, in which the oxygen is taken in by the organism, and at the end of respiration the waste product, that is CO2, is formed and it is released, and the process by which this exchange of gases takes place, that process is called breathing. Second step in the respiration is that breakdown of simple food in order to release energy inside the cell, that is called cellular respiration. Now we'll talk about the types of respiration. The first one is aerobic respiration. In this respiration, there is the presence of oxygen, and here in this process the pyruvic acid is converted into carbon dioxide, and because in the aerobic respiration the glucose is broken down completely, so lots of energy is released. How many ATPs are generated in the aerobic respiration? 38 ATP. 38 ATP is generated in the process of aerobic respiration because the glucose molecule is completely broken down in the mitochondria in the presence of oxygen. Anaerobic respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen, and here the pyruvic acid is either converted into ethyl alcohol or lactic acid, because here there is absence of oxygen, so the pyruvic acid doesn't break down completely, so some byproducts are formed. Two byproducts can be formed, either ethyl alcohol or lactic acid. Ethyl alcohol is usually formed in case of anaerobic respiration in microbes like yeast and bacteria. Okay, when there is no oxygen, then anaerobic respiration will take place. Here the glucose, the pyruvic acid will break down, and either it will make the ethyl alcohol or lactic acid. So ethyl alcohol is usually formed in case of anaerobic respiration that takes place in the microbes like in yeast and bacteria, and lactic acid is formed in some microbes as well as in the muscle cells of our body. So first of all, what happens in the respiration? Glucose, 6 carbon molecule break down into pyruvate, that is 3 carbon molecule, and energy is generated. And if after that, if the oxygen is present, then what will happen? If the oxygen is present, then the pyruvate or pyruvic acid in the mitochondria, it breaks down and make the carbon dioxide and water plus energy. And if the oxygen is not present, then the pyruvate convert into ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide and produces the energy that, for example, it takes place in the yeast. And in the muscle cell, when there is lackness of oxygen, then the pyruvic acid convert into lactic acid and few amount of energy is generated. Now you can show the equations of these kind of respiration. In the first one, you see that glucose break down in the absence of oxygen and make ethanol or ethyl alcohol, that is called ethyl alcohol. C2H5OH and CO2 will be formed, and 2 ATP will be generated. Okay, and if there is lackness of oxygen, like it occurs in the muscles, so lactic acid will be formed. Okay, and here also 2 ATP of energy molecule will be generated, and if there is presence of oxygen, then the aerobic respiration will take place, and here this glucose molecule will be broken down completely, and then 38 ATP molecule will be generated, and a byproduct will be formed, that is 6 molecule of water, and a waste product will be generated, that is carbon dioxide. Now, pain in leg muscles while running. When we run too fast or continuously, then we experience some pain in our leg muscles. This happens because of the anaerobic respiration taking place in our muscles. During running, the energy demand from the muscle cell increases, because we continuously use our muscles, so it demands energy, and this is compensated by the anaerobic respiration, and lactic acid is formed in this process. So to fulfill and continue the demand of energy, our muscles will start to perform anaerobic respiration. And as you know, in anaerobic respiration in muscle cells, the lactic acid is formed, and this lactic acid deposits in the leg muscles and cause the pain. And the pain subsides after taking rest for some time. When we take rest, then this lactic acid remove from our muscles and we feel relaxed. Now we will talk about the exchange of gases. As you know, in the aerobic respiration, we need to take oxygen, and we need to take oxygen and we need to remove carbon dioxide. Okay, so for aerobic respiration, organisms need a continuous supply of oxygen, and carbon dioxide produced during the process needs to be removed from the body. So different organisms use different methods for the intake of oxygen and expulsion of carbon dioxide. Like unicellular organism, they exchange the gases simply by the process of diffusion. Here the oxygen gas, the molecule of oxygen enters into the cell from higher concentration to lower concentration, and here after the respiration, the CO2 molecule is formed, and they get removed from the cells by the process of diffusion, because in respiration, the inside the cell, the concentration of carbon dioxide is more than the outside, so the carbon dioxide molecule start to um, remove the cell and they get out from the cell. So unicellular organism exchange the gas by the process of diffusion. In plants also, diffusion is utilized for exchange of gas, and you know that the plants have stomata. By that opening, they exchange the gases from their body, and some stem of the plants also have some opening that is called lenticle, and with the help of lenticle they can also, that part of the stem can also exchange the gas. And root hairs also exchange the gases with the help of root also exchange the gases with the help of root hairs in the soil, and that's how they intake and remove the gases. But in complex animals, the respiratory system does the job of exchange of gases. अगर हम if we will talk about a complex animal, then there is a system, particular specific system, that is called respiratory system, and that respiratory system is responsible to exchange the gases. Like you know that in case of fishes, there is a organ called gills, and this is the respiratory organ for the fishes, and these gills are responsible to exchange the gases. So on the fishes intake the water through the mouth, and they remove it through the gills opening, and the water and the oxygen which is dissolved into the water, it intakes, it is taken into the gills, and that's how they exchange the gases. Now fishes takes in oxygen which is dissolved in water through the gills, and since availability of oxygen is less in the aquatic environment, so the breathing rate of aquatic organism is faster. Insects have a system of spiracle and trachea which is used for taking in oxygen. So insects have small openings on their sides of their body, and that is called a spiracle, and that openings are connected with the tubes that run along throughout their body, and with that opening and tubes they can exchange the gases, that is called spiracle and trachea. Now in the terrestrial organisms, the organism which live on the land, they have developed lungs for the exchange of gases. They have a particular very efficient and very important organ that is called lungs. In the lungs, the exchange of gases take place, and because the availability of oxygen is not a problem in the terrestrial environment, so the breathing rate is lower as compared to what it is in the fishes. Terrestrial organisms use atmospheric oxygen for respiration, and aquatic organisms use dissolved oxygen for the respiration. Now we will talk about the human respiratory system. The human respiratory system is composed of a pair of lungs. These are attached to a system of tubes which open on the outside through the nostrils. So you can see here that our respiratory system, the main organ of our respiratory system is the lungs that we have in our chest area, thoracic region, and these lungs are connected with the tube that is called trachea, and it opens in our nose. Okay, so the opening of the nose is called nostril, and with the nostril we take in the oxygen. It goes into the nasal cavity, then it goes into the pharynx, then it goes into the windpipe that is called trachea. And as you know, the trachea is divided into two branches that is called bronchi, and each bronchi goes into the each lung, and when it enters into the lungs, it again branched into so many smaller branches that is called bronchioles. So that's how the air goes in our lungs, and this is the lung is the area where the exchange of gases takes place. So these are the following these are the structure that are present in our respiratory system. So here you can see that nasal cavity, then pharynx, then larynx, then trachea, then bronchi, then bronchioles, and last is alveoli. So we will talk about one by one all these about all these structure. So nostrils are the two openings which are found in our nasal passage in our nose, and the inner lining of nostril is lined by hair and remains wet due to the mucus secretion. The mucus and the hair help in filtering the dust particle out from the inhaled air. Further, air is warmed up when it enters in the nasal passage. So nostrils are the openings that are found in the nose through which the air get in our lungs. Now after the nostril there is an area that is called pharynx. It is a tube like a structure which continues after the nasal passage, and it is the common chamber of nose opening and mouth opening in our mouth oral cavity. After the pharynx there is a structure called the larynx, and this part come after the pharynx. This is also called voice box. This is the front part of the larynx. Larynx is the first part of our windpipe that is called voice box, and it is responsible for the producing voice. Now the trachea, this is composed of the rings of cartilage, and cartilaginous rings prevent the collapse of trachea in the absence of air. So you can see here this is the trachea that connects our nose to the lungs, and this is made up of the C-shaped cartilaginous rings to prevent the collapse. Now the trachea divided into two branches that is called bronchi, and each bronchus going to each lung, and after that the bronchus divides into branches and sub branches inside the lung that is called bronchioles. So sub branches of the bronchi into the lungs that is called bronchioles, and bronchioles end up into the balloon like a structure that is called alveoli. These are the air sacs at the end of the bronchioles, and the alveolus is composed of a very thin membrane and is the place where blood capillaries open. So you can see here in this diagram, you can see that the trachea divide into bronchi, then the bronchi further branches into so many thin branches. That branches are called bronchioles, and at the end of bronchioles there are the small balloon like structure that are called alveoli, and the so many alveoli is found in a one sac that is called air sacs, and this is the place where the exchange of gases occur in the lungs. So this is the alveolus where the oxygen mixes with the blood and carbon dioxide exit from the blood. So the exchange of gases in alveolus takes place due to pressure differences. So here you can see here these are the alveoli, and this is completely covered with so many capillaries. So, and you know the inside the capillaries blood flows. So suppose this is a blood capillary in which the blood flows, and this is the alveolus. So the wall of the capillary and the wall of the alveolus both are very very thin, very very thin. So the gases can exchange, can pass from there, and the oxygen goes into the blood from the alveolus, and the carbon dioxide goes into the alveolus from the blood, because of the pressure difference. Here the concentration of oxygen is more and here it is less, so the oxygen diffuses into the blood capillary, and just opposite takes place in case of carbon dioxide. Here the concentration of carbon dioxide is more in the blood, and in alveolus it is low. So the carbon dioxide cross the wall of the capillary and alveolus and goes into the alveolus, and that's how the exchange of gases takes place, because of the pressure difference between the blood and the alveolus. Now you have to remember the passage of air through the respiratory system in human beings. So the journey of air starts from the nostril, then it goes into the nasal passage, then nasal cavity, then it goes into the pharynx, then larynx, then trachea, then bronchi, and then after it goes into the bronchioles, then alveoli, and from alveoli it crosses into the blood capillaries. So this is the passage of air when we inhale the oxygen. When we inhale the air, this is the passage, and during the exhalation you can write it in an opposite direction. In during the exhalation, the carbon dioxide goes from blood capillaries to alveoli, then it goes into bronchioles, then it goes into bronchi, then trachea, then larynx, then pharynx, then nasal cavity, and then it goes into the nasal passage, and then into the nostril, and then it goes into the atmosphere. So this is the pathway. Now we will talk about the breathing mechanism. So breathing is the process by which we inhale and exhale the gases. We inhale the oxygen and we exhale the carbon dioxide, and the breathing mechanism of lung is controlled by the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles. So what is diaphragm? Diaphragm is the muscle sheet found between the chest and the abdominal region. This is the diaphragm. You can see this is the sheet of muscle which separate the upper part of our body to the lower part, and this muscle sheet and the muscles which are found between the ribs, that is called intercostal muscles. So the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles, they together cause the inhalation and exhalation. They bring about the inhalation of oxygen and exhalation of carbon dioxide. So what happens during the inhalation? uh, During the inhalation, when the diaphragm moves down, the lungs expand and the air is inhaled. And during the exhalation, diaphragm moves up and the lungs contract and the air are exhaled. So in the process of inhalation, breathing in, what happens? The diaphragm goes downward. So mm, the oxygen get into the lungs, and during the breathing out, the diaphragm goes up and the oxygen goes out, carbon dioxide goes out from the lungs, and that's how exhalation takes place. So in inhalation and exhalation, our diaphragm and our intercostal muscle between the ribs, they perform a very important role here. During the inhalation, the diaphragm goes down and the ribs, our ribs goes uh, outward. So the volume inside the lungs increases, and the pressure inside the lungs decreases. So to equalize the pressure, the air rush into the lungs and cause the inhalation. And just opposite occurs in the exhalation. Here the diaphragm goes up, and the intercostal muscles of the ribs cause the contraction in the ribs. So the volume of the lungs decreases, and so that the pressure of the lungs increases. And when the pressure of lungs increases, then the air is start to rush out from the lungs into the atmosphere. So our ribs and our diaphragm play a very important role in our breathing mechanism. So this is all for this video, and in the next video we'll talk about the next life process, that is transportation. Till then, thank you everyone. Have a nice day.